to get to this point, really, this juncture in a long time of singing, it is actually, a life in music is a bit like being a kind of bottle or a cork on the ocean in a way. Sometimes you're overwhelmed by events and by the changes of the people that you're working with. Sometimes it's a walk in the park, sometimes it's a stormy, and so to reach this point now, something I could never have imagined. I could never imagine that I would have the desire and fire and push to look for something, to try and create something with my companions that's particularly, for me, unique in my time. I guess really the thing is that we're all looking for something as musicians. It's not just about going out and getting a paycheck or being loved by the masses or whatever it is, because I'm one of the masses myself, and I follow stuff that stirs me as much as I can, as much as I can be stirred, find it. So as a bunch of people with a lot to offer, we traveled together for the last couple of years. There was definitely something going on as we got more familiar with each other. There was a very good ebb and flow of playing and backing off and playing and backing off, so that a performance would be interesting, and also the dynamism of the shows was impressive. The personalities are unique, and so we had everything in place and we could tour forever without considering new material. But it was obviously, the challenge is to write. And I hadn't really written anything since the last time I was with the majority of these guys, back with Mighty Rearranger in the early 2000s, so 2004, 2005. And I'd gone into another world, and I'd really been on the most amazing trip through what you guys call Roots America. And not only was I interested in those songs and that side of the coin, because I'd never really studied Lefty Frizzell or Gene Clark or Townes Van Zandt and that whole beautiful genre of immigrant music. I'd stuck with the African American thing since I was a kid, and I think the sort of bravado of those big riffs coming out of Mississippi, even in the 30s, was overwhelming for us in Britain. As a shy, retiring nation, pretty grey in the 50s. All we did was look at America and copy, So I had my amazing friendships and fortune in the United States, and when I came back and melded with these guys again, it was obviously that challenge of writing new stuff came, and we got enough little bits and pieces and vignettes and excerpts within the old music that we were playing. We could take out quite a lot of interesting little lines that Gilday might play, or John would give us a keyboard thing. Everybody contributed to this beginning, which nobody knew was the beginning, really. So at the end of a tour, we just started pulling some of the ideas off tapes, off recordings, and then we got started. And this is where we've ended up. I mean, it's really quite an achievement, because the whole exercise was pretty painless. The pain comes when you hand it over to the third party. It's true. That's what happens. It's sort of, you give it to somebody and say, please look after our child, and then it starts.
Now love is enough, though the world be awaiting. The words have no voice, but the voice of complaining.
Coming from a European, British, North African, West African place. So the African aspects of this come mostly from Gilday Camara, who has played with Justin, Billy and Dave from the band as a group called Juju before. And they they had a lot of this, the angular aspects of this down as a 4-piece. When I went to see them about 18 months ago, that's what drew me back into it all, because I heard the big riffs of the Mississippi coming from Justin Adams, but I heard it mixed with this African melange. And to bring in John Baggett again, who just finished with a Massive Attack tour, and bring in all that trance aspect, and Skin Tyson with the pastoral, psychedelic, acoustic, electric, spinning stuff, we already had this landscape of music before there was a voice on it. You have really a mixture of many aspects of the European take on music, mixed with this light filigree of Mississippi, the white man's vision of Mississippi, reading those songs, which is my input here and there. But most of all, I suppose in the middle of it all, I wanted to find melody again for myself, rather than being an expressive singer out front. And I think that came from the fact that I'd sung with Patty Griffin and with Alison Krauss and with Darrell Scott and Buddy Miller. I'd sung with a lot of great singers where melody is paramount. And in the earlier days of my time as a singer, I was just letting rip like British singers did in the 60s and 70s, you know. And so I'd found another place to go. And if you put it all together, it could be almost indigestible. And it could be a mess, but it's by moderating it carefully, it works out good. And on stage, it's kind of better, really. But everybody still is very respectful, so you never get this, you know, collision of people playing over each other and like that. It's really very good, interesting sound. In a relationship that's based primarily initially on musical give and take, it's a push and pull thing. You can actually have a relationship with somebody on a creative level without ever being personal, you know. So you can be, the best environment is to be very frank and to know when things work and when they don't work, and know it quickly so that it's not offensive. Because tiptoeing through musical changes and not knowing how, I've seen this a lot, not knowing how to say, I'm not sure about that, comes about, it's a difficult game, but I like to have people to have a lot of passion with it as well. No tears, no blood.